Hey, what's up, Sim fans? Welcome to VR Simulation, dedicated to bringing you the latest news and reviews for all simulations in virtual reality. Hey, VR Simulation fans, welcome to podcast episode number 3, Rift Critiques. I've got a few things to talk about this week, and I'll do so while taking a few practice laps out at Mosport in the Acura. First of all, I wanted to mention that obviously my Rift is not yet here. If it were, you'd probably see it on my face right now. I'm a little bit disappointed about that. My last notification from Oculus was on May 29th, which was 4 weeks from yesterday. They said at that time it was processing and it would be shipped out with the next batch, and I haven't heard anything since. I was really hoping to have it here by now, but alas, we move forward, anticipating the day when it will arrive. That's part of the reason I didn't have a podcast last week. But there are still a few things to discuss. First and foremost, obviously, I hope you have all seen the interviews from E3.
So tell me, what are you guys doing next?
So we've started shipping out developer kits. We've shipped out about 10,000 of them now. There's a lot of developers that have these. They're starting to make games. What we're showing at E3 is a prototype of a high-resolution version of the Oculus Rift. It uses a single 1920 by 1080 display. And other than that, it's basically the same. We have a lot of different prototypes back at the office with all kinds of different features. But since resolution is the biggest complaint that we hear about the Rift, we thought we would bring this one, show it at E3 so that people could see that we're making really good progress.
And you guys are showing us actually the consumer Oculus Rift, or what you anticipate to be the consumer, which is the HD 1080p version, that's correct?
Yeah, so what we're showing is a 1080p prototype.
Gotcha.
It's basically one piece of the consumer version, right? So we have all these features and enhancements we want to do for the consumer version of the Rift. This is one of the key ones. So, you know, the development kit is 720p. That's probably one of the biggest shortcomings today. With the HD prototype, what we're showcasing really is HD VR for the first time, giving people a glimpse of what the consumer version of the Rift will look like. And it's really only going to get much, much better from here.
So now that I've tried both, and you heard me say this before, the HD version is 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like night and day.
So, as you can see, it's very exciting to see the 1080p prototype on display at E3. Lots of good impressions from that display, and everything, of course, was super positive. Looking forward to seeing more in the way of either another developer's kit or the consumer version, which will have at least a 1080p display, according to the guys at Oculus. So, of course, we're all crossing our fingers that the display will be even higher resolution, maybe 1440p. But keep in mind that resolution is not the only consideration that they are thinking about when they're picking a display. They've also got to consider response time, contrast ratios, all those other things that make a great display that are even more vital for a VR display. Let's see, what else from around the web? There's a few cool videos posted over this past couple of weeks. One from CXCSimulations. These guys make some really cool commercial grade simulators, very expensive, but if you've got the dough, it's hard to get much better in your home. The CXC video is pretty impressive, and they even integrated the Oculus Rift into a real racing helmet, which I'm sure adds a little bit even more immersion, so that's pretty cool to see. For all these videos that I add in mine, please check below for links to the original video. I don't take credit for those are not my videos. See, the next video I wanted to show you was from Star Simulations, and let me tell you, this does look like some 5-star equipment for sure. Notice the wheel that they're using there is the Rift Bodnar wheel package. It's about a $4,000 package, and it's supposed to be pretty darn incredible. But they're running either F1 2010 or 2011, and so that's pretty cool to see more titles working with the Vario perception drivers. Whoa, as I go off the track. Next video is from Assetto Corsa. The developers have their Rift kits, and they are hard at work getting Rift support implemented in their tech demo and in their game. And so far, it looks like development is progressing along nicely. So I'm excited for that. Definitely keeping a close eye on Assetto Corsa because that game looks absolutely phenomenal. Really excited to try it out. I'm going to definitely have to download the tech demo one of these days. Let's see, and lastly, we've got this user from iRacing doing an entire race, oval race, in the Star Mazda.
Wow, got a great start.
It's about an hour long.
Because I could see the guy.
And if you're especially interested in a beta experience racing inside the Rift, it's a good one to watch. Obviously there's no official support from iRacing yet, so he's working with multiple third-party solutions, kind of a piecemeal together solution on the software side to get it to work. And he does have really quite a bit of calibration issues during the video. And it's kind of interesting to see hear his commentary throughout the video as he's struggling with those various issues. Of course, hopefully none of those particular issues will be present when iRacing does release official support.
I'm not going
but
to try
until
and be
that
like
point in
super
time, there are issues we're going to have to work with, and that's just part of being a beta tester, if you ask me.
New and interesting.
Let's see, Rift fears. This is really what I really wanted to discuss with you this week, because these are concerns that have been raised throughout the community, and a lot of them are really valid. And as enthusiastic as I am about VR, I realize that it's not obviously going to be perfect yet, and nor will it probably ever be perfect. I'm just excited because I feel like the positives are going to far outweigh the negatives. But let's discuss some of those some of those negatives, so that we can be on the same page and understand each other. First off, not being able to see your controls. This is probably the biggest complaint that I hear, or the most frequent complaint that I hear, is that you're not going to be able to see your wheel or your stick shift or your pedals or whatever. And I just think this particular complaint is absurd, especially coming from a sim racer enthusiast. We have the most amazing peripheral support in comparison with any other gaming genre, with the exception of maybe flight sim at the ultra high end, but they've got to spend massive amounts of money. We actually have really good peripherals that are reasonably priced. These peripherals are so natural and so tactile that I just don't see that this particular complaint, even though I see it more often than any other complaint, I don't think it holds any water. I don't look at my wheel or my stick shift or anything else when I'm driving. I'm looking at where I'm going and watching the road. I just don't see this as a major concern. Our peripheral support is so good, our peripherals are so tactile in that we don't operate them by sight, we operate them by touch. I just don't see how this is a really big concern for our particular genre. Now, I do see it as a big concern for first-person shooters, but we'll save that conversation for another time, another place. Next is eye fatigue and eye strain, and this is definitely a concern for most 3D technologies. But I want to kind of dispel the rumors a little bit with Rift. A lot of people say, well, I can't do 3D because, you know, I tried a 3D TV and I got a headache after 5 minutes. There's some fundamental differences between 3D on a monitor like what I'm using right now as compared to the Rift. Why is that? Well, on a screen like this, my eyes are actually being forced to be cross-eyed in somewhat of an unnatural fashion. But in doing this, it tricks the brain into believing that there's actually depth there where there isn't. The Rift, on the other hand, has two individual viewing areas on its screen, one dedicated to each eye. So each eye is looking straight ahead, just as it would in real life. And the level of strain caused on or placed on your muscles, on your eye muscles, is not nearly what it would be on a projector or monitor or 3D TV, etc. So again, I don't feel like this particular complaint holds a lot of weight when critiquing the Oculus. And I think all those people who are saying these things, if they have the opportunity to test drive the Rift, they'll quickly come to see that it's not really a valid concern with the Rift. The last concern I wanted to bring up was the lack of G-force and positional awareness. This is probably the most difficult one to explain with words. But I guess and this is not anything that I've heard from elsewhere. This is my own personal experience using the Sony HMZ-T1 last year with TrackIR, where I essentially tried to build what Oculus is doing myself with commercially available products. When I did that, first of all, there was a lag issue. So when I turned my head, the screen would move, a few milliseconds later, and that was very distracting and disorienting. But the bigger problem is that when you're driving a car in real life and you're going around a corner, you can look into that corner and your body still maintains its positional awareness, not just through sight, but also through your inner ear, and you feel the G-forces in your body, and your brain is able to process your positional awareness. In a simulator, you don't have that advantage of the G-forces helping you out, telling you where you're at, and therefore you're much more reliant on sight. When you're racing a car down a track and you look to the side, you lose that positional awareness because your vision is being diverted to one side or another. And when you watch that 1 hour long race that I mentioned earlier, he complains about this a little bit. Now, he also says there's some lag in his setup, so I'm hoping that eliminating the lag will really reduce the effect of this. But the same thing can be experienced with TrackIR right now. So if you use TrackIR, maybe you have more experience to discuss this issue. I tried TrackIR a little bit on my monitor, and again, I did not like it for racing. I felt that, even a small adjustment of my head would throw off my awareness of what the rear end of the car was doing, and maybe I thought I was sliding when I wasn't, or I was sliding when I didn't realize it. So that is definitely my greatest concern about the Rift. Maybe it's something that you'll adjust to with time, maybe not. But I think if there's going to be anything that's going to be a deal breaker for me, that's really going to ruin the experience, that is the one possibility I'm concerned about. So that's about all I have for this week. Thanks a bunch for joining me, and hopefully I'll have my Rift next week so we can progress through some of these titles and explore some of these cool developments that are coming out. Until then, Jeremiah signing off from Northern Japan. Join me again next time. Thanks.